What's up, everybody? This is Russell Brunson. Welcome to the Marketing Secrets Podcast. Today, I'll take you behind the scenes of our recent affiliate mastermind and talk about building out your customer avatar. So the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs like us, who didn't cheat and take on venture capital, who are spending money from our own pockets, how do we market in a way that lets us get our products and our services and the things that we believe in out to the world and yet still remain profitable? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Russell Brunson, and welcome to Marketing Secrets. All right, everyone. So this last week, we did an affiliate event for my top 20 affiliates for the Expert Secrets book, which was really cool. We had them all fly out here to Boise. We hung out, we shared ideas, we talked, and it was really, really cool. In fact, the next few episodes of the podcast, I'm actually going to do right here my home office. I'm here right now, and I've got my notebook with a whole bunch of cool stuff, and there were a whole bunch of really good takeaways that I think were valuable enough to share with you. We also happen to film the event, so I'm going to get Brandon on my team to grab some of those clips and plug them into here so you can actually see some of the footage of some of the ideas and the concepts I think are really, really important. I know the last few podcasts I've done have been some long ones, some like hour-long, 90 minutes, and so I'm going to get back to a shorter form and to share some of the really, really cool things. So first one I want to talk about is JLD, John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire, who is, I think, the #1 ClickFunnels affiliate right now. He's going to be the first affiliate in ClickFunnels to make $1 million himself. That's his goal, and he's killing it. He's also probably one of the lowest maintenance, if not the lowest maintenance affiliates I've ever had, and partners. Like, he's just awesome dude, and love him, love working with him, and it's awesome. And so he was at the event, and what was cool is that we had him to do some Q&A with the group, and somebody asked him, said, hey, I'm building a podcast, and the first thing JLD asked is like, well, who's it for? And they're like, well, it's for this kind of person, this kind of person, this kind of person. And he's like, there's your problem. He's like, you need to be able to identify exactly who your person is. And then he went into this like state where he just shared exactly who his dream customer, his dream client was. And I've never, in the history of me doing this business, which is now 14 or 15 years, heard someone more perfectly explain their customer avatar than JLD did at that moment. And I'm so glad we got on film. So I'm going to play that clip for you right now so you can see exactly what he said. And as you're listening to this, I want you thinking through that, because that is how clear you have to be on exactly who your customer is. And that way you create your product, your podcast, your whatever it is you're doing, you match it to your customer, and that is the secret. So let me show you that clip right now.
So who's your perfect listener?
Our perfect listener would be a business owner or an entrepreneur or a real estate investor.
So that's really vague. Like, perfect listener should just be that one individual that like you would see as like the perfect ideal client. Because once you've kind of made that step and that decision as a podcast host, everything changes. Yeah. So like for me, when I was trying to figure out like what I wanted Entrepreneur on Fire to be, I was overwhelmed because it was really hard for me to kind of find what that path that I wanted to take my listeners on. And when I really sat down and said, okay, my listener is, my avatar is Jimmy. He's 37 years old. He has a wife and 2 kids, ages 3 and 5. He drives by himself to work every single day. It's a 25-minute commute to work. He gets to a cubicle at a job he hates for 9 hours. You know, gets done with his job, drives home. It's a 35-minute commute home because he gets stuck in a little bit of traffic. Gets home, he hangs out with his kids, has dinner with his family, puts his kids to bed, hangs out with his wife, and then he has a little Jimmy pity party at the end of every single night because he's sitting on the couch saying, why do I spend 90% of my waking hours doing things I don't enjoy doing? Commuting to a job I don't like, being at a job I don't like, commuting home, and only 10% of my waking hours doing things that I love, like spending time with my kids and my family. And Jimmy is my avatar. Like, he's the person that as he's driving to work should be listening to Entrepreneur on Fire, so that when my guest is sharing their worst entrepreneurial moments, he can understand that it's okay to fail, and like that you can learn lessons from failure, and that when he's driving home and my guest talks about their aha moment, he can talk about how you take an aha moment and turn it into success. And then instead of having that pity party at night, by himself on a couch, he can listen to the lightning round where my guest is sharing their best advice they've ever had, their favorite book, their favorite resource. And so he can start to put together the pieces of the puzzle. And so for me now, whenever I come up to any question I have about the direction of my podcast, I go to my avatar and I say, WWJD. Like, what would Jimmy do? And like, I know from that one answer, like that's the way that I got to go. So if you sit down and you really say, hey, this is the one perfect listener of my podcast, then you're going to know that person inside and out. You're going to know where that person hangs out, what Facebook groups they're in, what LinkedIn groups they're in, like how to advertise to them, like what lead magnet is going to be appealing to them on Facebook that's going to get them to download it and then be able to be promoted to your show. And again, this is your ideal, perfect client. Like you can probably picture right now this person that whenever he sits down in front of you, you're just like, dude, you're like my favorite client. And he's like, I know, I'm your favorite client. And like that's the person that like you want to be drawing in. So like if you sit down and really just figure out who your perfect one ideal listener is, everything changes from that point forward. And all the decisions you make are based off of that. And so every piece of content you make for your podcast is speaking to that avatar, that one person. Every call to action you give and every intro and every call to action and every outro is for a specific purpose. So for instance, in my podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire, you'll hear me, I have 7 rotating calls to action on my intros and outros. One's going to say, hey, this is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire, where I interview the world's most successful entrepreneur 7 days a week. By the way, if you're struggling with a goal right now, you should check out the Freedom Journal because I teach you how to accomplish your #1 goal in 100 days. So visit thefreedomjournal.com, and that will be one call to action that will bring people down one specific funnel that will result in them purchasing my journal, the Freedom Journal, for $39. And then I have the call to action in my outro that says, hey guys, hope you enjoyed the chat with Russell today. He rocked the mic as always. Oh, by the way, if you're thinking about creating your own course, your own podcast, I have a free course called Free Podcast Course that will teach you how to create, grow, and monetize your own podcast in 15 days. And so then they'll go to that URL, they'll sign up for the free podcasting course, which will lead them to my free masterclass, which I do every 2 weeks, which is live. And then that masterclass will lead to me pitching them Podcasters Paradise, which is what we have for our premium podcasting community. So every single call to action I have is for Jimmy to take them into one of my 7 or 8 functioning funnels that I have to result in some kind of revenue being generated at the end. So I think that the steps you can and should take is really nail your avatar, understand who that person is as an individual, and then start creating 1, 2, 3 calls to action that you're using in your intros, in your outros that are getting them into the beginning part of a funnel that's going to result in your ideal action, which might be a phone call, which might be, whatever that, investing their first dollar with your company, whatever that result is, but that's the funnel you're taking them in. Does that make sense?
I hope you guys love that. It was like, as he was talking, I was like trying to take notes. I'm like, and I'm like, oh, good, we got the video. So it's pretty powerful, and I want to make sure you guys all know your customer avatar that clear as well. If not, it's time to do your homework, stop the podcast, and go think through that, because as soon as it becomes that tangible, where you know who they are, everything else becomes easier. So that said, thanks you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you on next week's episode of the Marketing Secrets Podcast. Would you like to see behind the scenes of what we're actually doing each day to grow our company? If so, then go subscribe to our free behind the scenes reality TV show at www.funnelhacker.tv.